Finally, on a Saturday evening, the gym was pretty quiet, and so I thought I'd record my warm up as well, just for a change, and also because I am slightly tweaking my program, my routine to accommodate for more jumping specific stuff. This is a few drills that I was doing for the two-step approach, just to break the movement down, and this is just to get some explosiveness into my posterior chain. I reintroduced the sled pushes because I think that while they're not very jump specific, they're really good at generating power. And so I think that on days where I'm not really focusing on jumping, I might be doing something that is still somewhat in the realm of power generation and explosiveness. So I ramped them up to 100 kilos and I was doing 3 sets. During these 3 sets, I was also supersetting with some handstands just to get some work on my wrists. This is a session that's mostly focused on the upper body, and I thought that the handstands would do well as a warm-up for what's coming. And last but not least, for the lower body, I was doing a few sets of eccentrics on the Nordic curls. Here, I'm speeding this up because I recorded all three, and since I'm going for slow eccentrics, about 4 seconds lower in phase, I don't want this to be too long. But the feeling was a good one. I'm noticing that as I am trying to keep my torso tall and my hip fully extended, or as extended as I can manage, there tends to be a bit more of a strain put on the lower back, especially on the last repetitions, to try and keep the body upright. So this is a form of cheating, as it is also bending at the hip. So I am going to try and minimize the two. There needs to be a balance struck between the amount of cheating that I'm allowing myself on hip flexion and also the amount of hyperextension that I am going for with the lower back. I would tend to prefer cheating slightly more at the hips simply because I do not want to put unduly stress on the low back. And now I'm passing on to the upper body part of the session. Here I was going for potentially a PR on chin-up triples with extra weight. So I was warming up also with a few explosive pull-ups, chin-ups. I was really focusing on pulling myself all the way up to my sternum. I may have been able to do that on the first 2 or 3 repetitions, but every time I was mindful of just pulling as explosively as I could. And I was ramping up. I filmed all the ramp ups. While ramping up, since this is not very challenging weight, I am going to superset these with exercises for my shoulders. So I was doing the wall internal and external twists for the rotator cuff, and I was also doing some behind the neck presses with just 10 kilos, but I was able to push these for sets of 15. I did 3 sets of 15. And on the last few repetitions, I was starting to feel a bit of a discomfort in the shoulder, which is slightly fatigued by all the movements that I was supersetting, but I was always able to get to 15 with no pain, which is an improvement over what I have been doing for a few weeks now, where the behind the neck press was causing me pain in a couple of points, namely at the bottom where it fully stretched, and also halfway up as I am pushing. Here I wanted to see, when I'm looking at it from the back, if there is like a very visible winging of the scapula, but it doesn't really look like that. Maybe the shoulders are not exactly even, but I guess that this is a compensation that my body is trying to do, and I am here hoping to teach it that it's fine. This movement is something that I can do with no problems. Now, going into the last 2 sets of the ramp up to what was going to be a personal record for me with 28 extra kilos. The way that I did this was going 10, 14, 18, and then 24, because the last time that I was doing 26, the previous set in the ramp up was with 22 kilos, but I did not want to make too big of a jump between the second last and the last set. So I went 18 and 24 kilos. 24 kilos kind of felt slow, so at some point I was a bit worried that I might not be able to do 28 kilos. And so when I went in there, I kind of really bounced out of the first eccentric down at the bottom here, really pulling myself all the way up, and I was able to touch my chest there. On the second one, it was a bit slower, and the third one, it felt much grindier than it actually was when I'm looking at it. And I'm glad that I was able to pull this out. I see myself smiling at the top, so this is great. It was a good session, a bit long, but definitely satisfying. Ciao.